Yeah. Let's go.
My name is Sheik Mozart and I'm here to explode important media topics with kids ministry pros. Whether you got a mega budget or just minimal dough. Welcome to the Kids Church Visual Show.
Hello and welcome to the Kids Church Visual Show with Sheik Mozart. I'm Sheik Mozart from Church Visuals, and this is the show that wants to help you visually communicate the gospel to your kids. On this episode of the Kids Church Visual Show with Sheik Mozart, we're going to be exploring the ways that you can use visuals to create an engaging and interactive experience in your kids' church. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to be talking about games. But first, we're going to go live to ask you, what kind of screen games do you use the most? Here we go. Question number 4 is, what kind of screen games do you use the most?
I say the ones that I like the most are ones that really challenge them, ones that, they can get wrong. If it's too easy, like you both want them to be a difficulty where they can get it, but also you do want to challenge them and stuff. So,
we use a lot of screen games. I do a lot of can you guess? So whether it's like a zoomed in picture, can you guess what this picture is? Can you guess where the ball's going to go? I run usually like 70 to 80 kids in the room. So screen games are the best way to get all the kids involved at one time.
We don't use screen games. We have on a rare occasion, but we usually use physical games.
One of my favorite screen games has got to be like marble races. Like, you have never seen a bunch of kids get like on their feet or even like jump up and down for like a video playing of like marbles racing, because it's like, hey, what marble do you want to win? And they're all like, wah, wah, wah. And it's like betting in kids' church. It's like a horse race, but.
Screen games are good. I like the screen games where the sloths are racing across or racing up, and it's just anything that's unpredictable. Those are fun. Those are the screen games I like the best.
Screen games, I like ones that get kids moving, because you don't want kids sitting too much, because that just doesn't help with learning in general. So ones that like, it says, if you think this, move to this side of the room, or if you think this, go to the opposite side, or it has them like doing motions, or standing up, sitting down. I don't know. It's just ones that get the kids doing something. Because I have seen some games where it's just they shout out something or maybe raise their hand, but a little more movement. I'm a huge fan of that, because that helps with learning and all that good stuff.
I think the ones that we try to push the most are ones where kids are interacting with the screen. So we've had some where we put up a giant target and have the kids shoot Nerf guns at the screen. And if they hit it, we'll hit advance on the screen and the target crumbles. We have some where it's a this or that, where they'll pick an answer, but based on their answer, the screen reacts differently, because we build everything in either Keynote or Pro, which gives the teacher some flexibility. So having an engaging game that's more than just, I'm just going to do this. It's, if I do something, the screen's going to actually respond to the input. We like to use those a lot. We don't have a lot of them. We're developing them now. But building that connection point is really fun for us and really fun for the kids in the class.
Definitely the group style ones, like, the ones where they're having to fight with the screen, right? So whether that's a strike a pose, and if you match the screen, you have to sit down, or something of that nature that gets them up and having to move, but they're having to fight against the computer on the screen.
There are 2 basic forms of game visuals: game videos and game slides. Game videos are self-contained and can normally be played straight through. They might be trivia games or competition games or anything else. The great thing about game videos is that while stage games are only played by the kids on stage, these videos encourage full crowd participation. And these games typically don't require any input and can be used as a transition between segments. Game slides are games that are broken up into question and answer slides. They typically require a leader who keeps the crowd engaged and a media person who clicks through the individual slides. These games can be really competitive and give the person leading the game the opportunity to add as much life and personality as possible. Hello and welcome back to the Kids Church Visual Show with Sheik Mozart. I'm Sheik Mozart. Today we are talking about games, and to join me in this conversation, we have the great Stanley Mearse, who has been in children's ministry for 20 years. Stanley, welcome to the Kids Church Visual Show with Sheik Mozart.
Thank you, Sheik. Thanks for having me, and it's glad to be here. It's a good time.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. We met earlier this year at the Kids Matter Conference in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. You're doing ministry in Tennessee, is that right?
That's correct. I'm at Eastanallee Baptist Church in Riceville, Tennessee.
Eastanallee Baptist Church in Riceville, Tennessee. So tell me a little bit about what you do in children's ministry and your experience in children's ministry.
I do a little bit of everything. The last thing I did was sweep and vacuum the carpets and find goldfish that needed to be got for the kids. So you do a little bit of everything. Wear all hats. But I'm a children's minister. So we have children's church. We have Sunday morning Sunday school. We have Wednesday nights activities along with singing. And so normal church stuff. But behind the scenes, I like helping out with different conferences such as CPC and Kids Matter and different friends in children's ministry.
Yeah. And how did you get started in children's ministry?
Oh, that's incredible. I got started in children's ministry when I was in high school. I got to volunteer for Vacation Bible School, and they had me help out in a kid's room and help teach there. And then I had a chance to do summer missions, and we did backyard Bible clubs. And then after that, I was in seminary, and I thought I was going to be a head pastor, and I didn't. I was an apartment ministry outreach coordinator in apartments, and I was helping latchkey children after school. And it was there I fell in love saying, I need to be working with children all the time, and felt the call to children's ministry full time. And I haven't looked back. I don't see it as a stepping stone, kind of as a lifer, but just love it.
Yeah. And for people that don't know, latchkey kids is a term that we used to use for kids who were stuck at home. Now we just call that regular childhood.
I guess so.
Today we're going to talk about using games in kids' church. We're going to talk about some general game stuff, but really we want to focus in on screen games, presentation games, those sorts of things. First of all, what's the benefit of using games in general in kids' church? Why should we include that as part of our kids' church service or experience?
The reason we should use games in general is because it builds relationships and allows kids to talk, and not only the extrovert but the introverted kids to participate. It allows learning to take place, kinesthetic, get up and move around. The visual and audio kick in when you do the audio visual along with speaking. So you get several different types of learning experiences all in the lesson you're trying to get across. And it's highly beneficial.
Yeah.
Also relational building.
You know, some people might think of kids' church games as kind of fluff, but I think yeah, you're right. There are so many kind of holistic benefits to using games. And even though they might seem kind of surface level, there's a lot of deep work and, you know, just like you said, in building relationships. What's the benefit then of using screen games or presentation games?
What I like using presentation games or screen games is when you have, depends how many kids you have in the room. Mm-hmm. But if you have 30 to 40 kids, even 100 kids in the room, you can't have individuals kind of compete against each other like in dodgeball without causing a lot of chaos. If you have a video game going on, you can divide the large room up into a couple of teams. You can have them one or two come up to the front, more like a game show, easier to control the crowd and keep the pace. And it's also a limited amount of time. So it's easier flow for the entire worship service.
Yeah, for sure. So when you do, when you've done kids' church games in the past, screen games, what are some environments that you've done them in? What kind of games do you normally do?
The games I like you normally playing with screen games, I like it either the first of the service when they're coming in. Mm-hmm. And so you're waiting for everybody to get there. Nobody feels awkward. You can talk to them that way. I found I do not like to do them in the middle of the service just to play a game. But I do like playing them at the end of service to help reinforce the lesson we just went over, or to build knowledge that way, and then actually have fun with them. So,
Yeah.
but it's either at the first or end, not the middle, is where I
Okay.
found the most beneficial.
Yeah. And what kind of screen games do you guys normally use?
The one I like playing at the very first is races to see which one's going to win. And then those are always cool. And then also knowledge games, ABC choice. And this is going to sound funny. We call it Honk the Hog. We borrowed the idea from a Becca, but you have two dog toys that are hogs. And so they come up and you have the ABC question up on the board. And the first one that can grab their hog and honk it, dog toy, they can answer the question. They don't run out like buzzers do or whatever else. You don't have to charge them or worry about electronics. And it makes it easier.
Yeah. You said it's called Honk the Hog?
Honk the Hog.
That's awesome. And what's cool about that too is that it takes like a screen game and makes it 3D essentially, because you've got kids actually participating on stage with the screen game. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Do you have a process for choosing the kind of game that you're going to use?
Yes, I try to go along at the first of the service, more just a fun game. At the end of the service, one that ties into the lesson we've gone through that day.
So Stanley, for somebody who is brand new to the Kids Church game, they're just getting started in ministry, what are some general do's and don'ts for using screen games or presentation games in their kids' church?
The do's is to build confidence with the kids and a relationship with them. Get to know their name. Get them up there in front of people so they're not afraid to be in front of a crowd, and include everybody. Don't just choose the ones raising their hands and the same people over and over. Try to choose some that aren't being noticed or whatever else, and make sure they win in a safe environment. There's a lot of benefits to it that way. On what games to choose and how to do it, well, go to 1230 Ministries. They have a ton there. There's a lot of websites out there with games to choose from, but your curriculum usually comes with some sort of game or process you can do. Even if you just put up a picture that comes along with your material and say, tell me about this picture. You have 30 seconds, and then make the picture disappear. And they have to retell the lesson.
How does your curriculum affect the kind of game that you're going to do?
I do it different than everybody. A lot of people are going to choose videos like you're wanting to have a video game up there and ask questions. And that's great for an opening of a VBS or opening of a worship service. Mine is I'm preaching a lesson from the Bible, and I'm going back through and asking them questions, and they have to answer the question. And then if they get the question right, they get a point for their team. And then we've got some type of silly game they've got to play for bonus points.
So can you break down kind of your typical kids' church service, your order service or your rundown, your schedule, whatever you call it?
Absolutely. I try to base it off a normal worship service. So they come in, there's going to be a 5-minute countdown. Then there's a race that happens that they get to choose which one's going to win. Then we have announcements. After announcements, then we have a video that plays that comes along with the curriculum to introduce the lesson for the day. We have 3 songs we sing worship with. We transition after the worship time into the Bible story time. After the Bible story, we have an invitation time because every kid needs to be prayed for and used to come up and talking to an adult about prayer. Even if it's they're praying over their dog that died 6 years ago, it's okay. After the invitation time, then we have game time because you never know how long the sermon's going to last. And that's when we play Honk the Hog, go back over the lesson, reinforce what they've been learning, and then have fun with it. And if we start running out of questions, then you take some of those PowerPoint games that are just silly questions to keep them flowing, drop it in there and keep running with it.
And how do you put your services together? Are you using curriculum at the moment?
I am.
Yeah. What kind of curriculum are you using?
Right now I'm using high voltage energy, and I'm using it for their 2 videos and the lesson format. And I'm preaching a lesson from the Bible, but then I'm pulling music from everybody you can think of, from Yancey, Jumpstart 3, Seeds, Orange curriculum, stuff we hear on the radio, so that they're used to praise and worship, and then going with 1230 Ministries and other things to find the game videos to plug in to play that way.
Throughout how much of your kids' church service do you have something on screen?
All the time.
All the time. Why is that?
Because the number one killer of any children's worship service is dead time. If there's any pause, they're going to take over. It's natural. Same thing with adults in a worship service. If there's a pause, you don't want any dead time. So if you have a transition that says announcements, as somebody's walking on stage, there's something going on in that child's mind and watching. If you want to, the best way to do this is going to sound crazy as I'll get out, but if you watch any game show, if you watch any Disney on Ice, or if you watch a WWE, there's never any dead time. There's always music playing, a video playing to capture the audience's attention away from what they're doing to get the next people out.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think? What kind of impact does that philosophy have on kids? Why is that philosophy important?
I think it's just a good steward on time, showing that you're polished and you're ready to go. You've thought it through, you've prayed over it, you know what the next step is, rather than not caring, not taking your time just to get up there. And it's, I think they're also getting it from TV and videos and phones, but at the same time, if we've got the technology, why waste it?
Yeah.
We have it at church. And the other fun part is, if you set it up, most people set up ProPresenter and make it hard. So you've got to have slides and everything else. If you do everything in MP4s, you can hit the spacebar button or the next button, then you can have kids, special needs people, volunteers, whoever, run your computer for you and pay attention and be a part of the worship service and actually learn how to lead and run a computer and tech.
Mm-hmm. So it's almost like your usage of visuals and media and technology is not only for the kids in the room, but also for discipleship and for building teams and all these things.
Yes.
That's cool. And I like to, this idea of creating a polished experience, because it's not that the quality of the experience determines the effectiveness of it on a spiritual level. But I think there is something to be said about the way that we honor God and the way that we honor the kids in the room, your leaders, through the way that we exhibit excellence,
But if you do it that way and you have it set it up that way, then you can take your computer, you can take a mini projector, and you can take a speaker, portable speaker, and you can have children's worship anywhere at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did is we've gone on mission trips. I've taken it to Gatlinburg, Tennessee to do backyard Bible clubs and done it that way. But we've also gone to Cuba and set it up and ran children's worship through the projector, through the computer, and through the speaker, and had children's worship in Cuba.
Yeah. Wow.
So there's no limitation at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. And how did the kids in Cuba respond?
They loved it because we talked to them before we went over there, and they're already doing children's worship in several areas, and they had the songs in Spanish. So since they had the MP4s, I could just drop them right in to ProPresenter and run with worship in their own language.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. What are some pitfalls in using screen games or using media in general?
The pitfall is you can't be all just audio visual, just screen. You've got to pull away from it. And even though you might just have the logo up there, pull out the Bible, let them learn how to find verses, let them learn how to read and study on their own, dig for it. So you've got to do both. And you got to have somebody live in front of them actually teaching them, rather than just saying, here's another screen, you're not important to me.
When it comes to leading a kids' church game, a screen game, how do you train someone to lead that, or how do you train somebody to even cue those segments?
If they're learning how to do a screen game and learn how to run a game, you need to sit down and you Google. I've got a list, but you Google what a game show host does, and you watch a Family Feud. You watch somebody where there's two teams going against each other, how they say the person's name over, or repeat the question, or bring the audience along, or share how many points they still have. So it engages the whole room and keeps it flowing. But the wheel's already been invented. You shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. Find out what works from the others and implement it in your area.
What is it about games that is kind of, it seems like it's a passion of yours. Why is that?
It's actually one of my least favorite ones in the children's worship service.
Really?
On the Passion, but fun has to be there. God didn't create the Bible and say, hey, guess what? I'm not fun. No, he created an elephant with a super long nose or a giraffe with a long neck and a little mosquito, and then he made us, and none of us look the same. It's a God of creation and fun. Why not have fun and teaching the Bible, make it come alive with the most exciting book you have?
That's awesome. Stanley, if people want to reach out to you, if they want to connect with you, how can they find you online?
Facebook, Eastanallee webpage. That's about it at the moment. I don't know. The cell phone number? I don't know. It doesn't take much. I'm out there. Come to Kids Matter conference.
Yeah, there you go.
Ryan Frank.
Yeah, you're a security guard.
Security guard. Yeah, that's it. Hey, here's something for you. Do you have another second for something a little bit different?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's 4 things you need to know on my hat. 4 things every Christian ought to know. 10, 7, 3, 1. And we're talking about games. In every game, you have to have a set of rules, right? Well, the rules in life are the 10 Commandments. And they show that we can't win at life and we're going to lose. So what happens when you lose? You need to know that you're important and you're not a total loss and that you're created. And that's where the 7 comes in, because God created everything in 6 days, and on the 7th day, he took a rest. So now that you know you're created, how do you know the one that created you? Well, that's the 3, the ABCs: admit, believe, and confess. And then once you've done that, then you know the one true God, one way to heaven through Jesus. And that is 4 things every Christian ought to know.
Wow, that's awesome. And look at that. That's a visual right there.
That's it. Visuals all the time. Because if you just do hearing, you only learn so much. Seeing, you hear so much. If you get all the senses together, then you've got somebody paying attention.
What's your favorite kind of game? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for joining us on the Kids Church Visual Show with Sheik Mozart. I'm Sheik Mozart, and I want you to know that your Kids Church visuals matter. Have you ever watched someone solve a Rubik's Cube? Their hands are a blur of motion as they work out algorithms and patterns that they've spent hours memorizing. As a ministry leader, I often get pulled in countless different directions, and I'm asked to do things that I've never done before. While sometimes that can be exciting, there are times when that burns me out. And maybe you feel burned out from trying to make your kids' church look better and better, but not having the tools, team, or expertise to do so. That's why our team is here. We can provide you with all the visual tools that you need to create an amazing kids' church experience. Let us do what we do best so that you can do what you do best. Reach and disciple the next generation of Christ followers. This has been a podcast presentation of Church Visuals. Executive produced by Carl Barnhill. Hosted and edited by Sheik Mozart. Professional Rubik's Cube provided by Jacob Barnhill. Title and show graphics by Jason Merritt. For more training to help you visually communicate the gospel in your children's ministry, visit churchvisuals.com.